it's going to be one of those days that I think that anyone involved and anyone who watches will look back and think, when do we ever get the opportunity to do something like this, to get all of those amazing people and so many more together in one day, in one moment, when, everybody around the world has gone through this in some way situation with the pandemic, to get everybody together just for that one day and for that moment to celebrate something that we all do together. And that, I think, is the thing I'm most looking forward to, Kate. And it's one of those things that I'm producing the show going right the way through the 24 hours. I don't think I'll struggle to stay awake, if I'm really honest. I think it's going to be just phenomenal.
Welcome to episode 39 of the Innovating Advice Show, and to the first time-sensitive episode. I'm joined by Adam Owen, director at NextGen Planners in the UK, and we are chatting about a great project we've been working on called the Global Commute. It's a virtual, free, 30-minute show happening at 8:30 a.m. in every time zone around the world from 8:30 a.m. UK time on Monday, the 22nd of June, all the way around to 8:30 a.m. UK time on Tuesday, the 23rd of June. So mark your calendars and you can tune in to one or many shows throughout those 24 hours. We'll be live streaming it all on YouTube with guests from around the world, and we share a sneak peek at the amazing guest lineup in this episode. We're also chatting about how the Global Commute came about and the virtual NextGen conference happening all next week and open to advisors and planners around the world. And Adam shares the inspiring and innovative way that NextGen gets a lot of its conference speakers. So mark your calendars, follow me and NextGen on social media, and grab those links and show notes at innovatingadvice.com/episode 39. You're listening to the Innovating Advice Show, and I'm your host, Kate Holmes, bringing you the global pulse on financial services innovation, featuring financial planners, financial advisors, and related professionals from all corners of the globe. Let's dive in. Hello, Adam. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Kate. Thanks for inviting me.
Adam, you and I have been working together lately on doing this global commute. We're going to be talking a lot about that, but let's first talk about the morning commute. So you and NextGen Planners have been putting on this daily morning commute throughout the pandemic and quarantine. So tell us where that came from.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question to start with. It actually came on we went into lockdown around about 10 weeks ago, something like that. And on the Saturday morning when it looked like lockdown was going to happen, I was reminded of the fact that once, way back in the 1990s, I started working from home, self-employed. And I'd been working a job in food retail. I was a manager in a supermarket. And so I'd been used to long hours and lots of structure. And when I first became a self-employed financial planner, I actually suddenly lost all of that structure. I was getting up in the morning at whatever time I wanted. If I actually got properly dressed, it was some days that was unusual. And daytime television was then a thing. And I was, you go onto one of those sort of thought little journeys where you remember these things. Yes. And I was suddenly reminded that there was one particular day, and it was the watershed of that period in my life, where I'd got up in the morning, I'd had some breakfast, I'd made a couple of client calls, and then I settled down to watch some daytime television. And there was a home DIY show on, and they were pine paneling the bathroom. And I decided that wouldn't that be a fantastic idea to pine panel our bathroom? It would be a delightful surprise for my lovely wife, Andrea, when she got home. So I headed off to the DIY store, and I arrived back with a carload of pine paneling, and I began, without any skill, to pine panel the bathroom. And when Andrea came home around about 5:30 that evening, she looked at the bathroom, and her reaction was not kind, shall we say. And years later, we can look back on it and we now call it the comedy bathroom moment. But at the time, it was not a good reaction. And in thinking through all of this, I suddenly realized that actually there's going to be an awful lot of our community who are working from home for the very first time. And one of the things that I found that really helped was structure. Having that reason to get up in the morning, having that space to prepare mentally, and also having the thing that stops you recreating a comedy bathroom. So I thought for our community, maybe actually I could come up with something that produced a structure that actually could save one or two marriages and relationships along the way. So the Morning Commute was born. And that following Thursday, I called around a couple of colleagues and said, look, we're going to put a breakfast show on, and it's going to be, there's going to be light and shade, there's going to be news every day, and there's going to be features, and we're going to get financial planners to come and actually talk about some of the things that they're passionate about outside of financial planning. So we're going to have features on health and fitness and sports, and maybe look at crafting and art and gardening, as well as having interviews with people in financial planning about financial planning. And so yes, so 4 days later we launched the show, and it ran. We've just finished the run now, just last week, as the UK begins to ease out of lockdown. But it ran for 48 shows, 10 weeks, and
Wow.
and it's been loads of fun. It really has been great fun to put it on.
Yeah, so it's been at 8:30 a.m. every morning, Monday to Friday, for 30 minutes, right?
30 minutes. It's a nice, short, punchy show, but it just, it was designed to create that nice third space between home and work. So people who aren't actually going to work and commuting, it's nice to have a reason to say to the kids, right, kids, I'm now going to go and sit and do this thing. But actually, it means they're not immediately leaving that family environment and heading to that office environment or whatever it might be. It just gives people that opportunity to ease in, as we would if we were on the commute. If we're sat in a car or on a train, then you just begin to shift your mindset. And so it's been an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and the engagement has been awesome. I was a guest on the show. It was not 8:30 in the morning my time. It was 12:30 in the morning my time, but it was fantastic. And the energy that everyone brought, and you produced the show. It's done so well, like you said, with all these different segments. And as you mentioned, there's, it's not all just about financial planning. So what have been a few of your favorite moments throughout those 48 episodes?
Oh, we've had some fantastic moments, in actual fact, Kate. It's very nice of you to say that it is a real fun show, and everybody's volunteered their time and has put a lot of effort into it. But yes, I mean, apart from the great highlights of fantastic financial planners that have joined us, and we've been able to talk about financial planning, some of the things that stand out. We had a couple of cookery segments. Rohan Sivajoti, the founder at NextGen Planners, he actually co-opted his brother into cooking a couple of times at 8:30 in the morning. Prawn linguine at 8:30 in the morning was quite a feature. We've had gardening. We've had people outside broadcasting from their rhubarb patches, and we've had bird impressions. So there have been some quite interesting features. Steve Martin, a financial planner here in the UK that you may have spoken with before. Steve has every week done a fitness focus, so has got everybody ready for the weekend, and has given fitness and health and dietary techniques and tips, which has been hugely helpful. So there's been a lot of people following along with that. Gretchen Betts, who will be featuring on our Global Commute, has actually done crafting segments. So particularly before the bank holidays we had here in the UK, Gretchen did some crafting segments, things that you can do with the kids. So it's been a really warm show with lots of features. But we've had coaching features, we've had well-being features, we've had mental health discussions. There's been a whole plethora of different things.
Adam, that's so cool. What a great way to bring the community together. And with all the strange things going on, I could have used some of that in my day-to-day. It was easy to get up and just dive into the news, which I really try not to do, but there's so much going on, and then that kind of impacts your day. Like, how great to start your day with those fun things coming together with your colleagues. That's fantastic. And so now it's going global. So where did the idea for taking it global come from?
Well, it's interesting. It's like so many things, I don't often like to say no if it's a good idea. And one of our members in Singapore actually got in touch and said, "Look, I'd really like to watch the Morning Commute. Do you actually post videos of it. And yes, of course, we've been posting videos of the content every day. Well, then that got me thinking, we have members and financial planners all over the world. There's an 8:30, 24 times in a day, right the way around the world. We could actually go and visit everybody. So we could run the show in every time zone over those 24 hours. Once you start thinking about things in terms of a 24-hour segment, then maybe you begin to think about the idea of a telethon and this idea that actually we could raise a little bit of money for charity as we're doing it. But if nothing else, it's a great opportunity to meet with other planners and to engage and to find out all the way around the world what financial planning is to people and to communities and to clients, and to really look to bring for that one day, bring our financial planning family together. And that just seemed like too big an opportunity to miss. We here in the UK at NextGen Planners were scheduled to run a conference, a one-day conference in London on the 25th of June. Of course, we can't do that now in terms of a live event. So we decided to take the conference and make it a 5-day event, and the Global Commute becomes the first day of that. So essentially, it's a great way of us launching our UK conference. Gives us an opportunity here in the UK to raise a bit of money for charity and do a bit for those charities, particularly that have suffered through lockdown, because many of our financial planning community actually this time of year will be doing sporting challenges and extreme challenges for charities, but of course all of those have been cancelled with lockdown. So it gave us an opportunity to do something there to maybe help plug a little bit of a gap. But more than anything, it means that we can reach out and we can find out more about financial planning around the world, and hopefully financial planning around the world can find out a little bit more about financial planning in the UK. So it seemed like one of those crazy ideas that sometimes if you have to ask why not, then you really just need to do it.
Yep. And then you went and found a kindred spirit in Las Vegas, Nevada that also can't say no to great ideas and very much loves connecting the global community.
Yeah, I was very lucky to find a fellow crazy, and
Yep.
I really do. I've got to say the help that you've given us in putting this together, Kate, has been amazing. So thank you. And it's straight away, just stuff like that. Just you and I being connected via email, and immediately you saying yes. That is the type of community that we have as financial planners. That actually, I think there's a real desire for us to take the profession and expand it and understand it and develop it and just to learn. At NextGen Planners, one of our mottos is we are always learning, and that opportunity to connect is huge. And yeah, I've got to say the help that you've put together in terms of organizing guests and the US leg of the show and all of that, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. We've got so many guests lined up. Let's share a few of those in a minute. But first, let's share what that format is. So within a 30-minute show, it's pretty action-packed. So talk us through what the different segments are during the show.
Well, yeah, we start off always, we have a little introduction, of course. We welcome people to the morning, a little bit of a chat of where we're up to. Of course, in our Global Commute, each show will be visiting some of those charity challenges. So people who are sticking with us over the full 24 hours, then they'll be able to watch how those charity challenges develop. But the show launches with the news in each time zone. So we'll be using the news desk at Citywire all the way around the world. It will give us those news updates. And then as we move through, we like to have a thought for the day. It's always nice to start your day with something positive. So we go from there to our thought for the day. And that's usually a well-being related thought, or sometimes just a financial planning related thought for the day. That'll take us into our main guest interview. And that's usually an interview about planning and in some way engaging with customers and consumers. And then the final segment of the show is our feature segment. So we have a 10-minute focus, and that can be on anything. And for our Global Commute, it really might well be on anything. Kate. There will probably be a bit of cookery. There will be some coaching and financial planning segments. There'll probably be some marketing. There might be a little about tech. There could even be gardening, depending on whether or not we can get some lights outside in the middle of the night to look at some rhubarb and other stuff. But generally, it will be at any point. I think we can almost certainly guarantee entertainment as well as information.
Yep, absolutely. And so some of the guests, I mean, you and I have been working really close together on securing a lot of them, through contacts that we both have, through members of NextGen Planners around the world, through guests and people I know, listeners even of the Innovating Advice Show. And a big focus of mine, as listeners know from the Innovating Advice Show, is on racial, gender, and geographic diversity. And so as we've reached out to guests, that's been a really important focus. And so some of the guests that I've talked to and have secured include Paul Manty in Ghana, who is just an absolute powerhouse in financial education, financial literacy. He does like 250 speaking events a year, super passionate guy. Then we swing around to Brazil. We've got Leticia Camargo, who I very much respect. This will actually be her first time doing something like this in English instead of Portuguese. And those that know, and Adam, you and I connect on this, getting people to sort of come out of their shell and, do speaking or speaking in another language. It's just so powerful to see people do that. So I'm so thrilled to have her. I've got some co-hosts with me in the US throughout the US segment. We've got Eric Roberge, founder of Beyond Your Hammock. He's doing great stuff and working with millennials and entrepreneurs. Maddie Roach of XY Planning Network. Thought it was super important to kind of bring all the next gen XY groups together. Luis Rosa, who is a Dominican American. He's here in Las Vegas with me. Great CFP professional, awesome podcast. Emily Blanche, once we get back to Australia, she's the head of community of XY Advisor. So again, getting all those together, like I love that we've got all these groups around the world. In terms of guests throughout sort of North America, we've got Lizetta Rainey Braxton, who is she's a powerhouse in everything. She's involved in so much. She's part of Quad A, the Association of African American Financial Advisors. She just teamed up with Rianka Dorsonville to co-found 2050 Wealth Partners. We've got Kerry List, the CEO of FP Canada. He has the most popular episode so far of the Innovating Advice Show, talking about how they're totally reimagining financial planning and education in Canada. Margarita Cheng here in the US, but she's the CEO and co-founder of Blue Ocean Global Wealth, Blue Ocean Global Technology. We've got Dr. Brad Klontz, who, Adam, just an amazing guy, really well known around the world, sort of really heavily into financial psychology, and he does the best TikTok videos. Dr. Carolyn McClanahan, who's a CFP professional and a doctor, she really talks about the intersection of money and health, which has always been important, but especially where we're at now, conversations a lot of advisors are having. Desarte Yarnway, he's a CFP professional and founder of Berknell. He's got a great practice here. He's got a super popular podcast called Young Money. Lauren Williams is a 4-time Olympic athlete and the first American woman to medal in both the Summer and Winter Olympics. We've got Adele Martin in Australia, who is founder of Firefly Wealth and the Saving Squad. She's built an incredible practice online, doing online courses, building her brand. Clayton Daniel, the managing director of XY Advisor in Australia, super connected into everything, doing amazing stuff down there in Australia. We've got Kevin Neo, who's actually one of my top fans of the Innovating Advice Show. He's in Malaysia. He's really being a catalyst in Malaysia of saying, hey, I think we can adopt virtual financial planning, changing the fee model. So he is just soaking up all the information. And he's a great example of the power of connecting advisors and financial planners around the world to learn from each other and implement those best practices. And Kim Potteter in South Africa, who also has one of the most popular Innovating Advice episodes on the power of financial coaching and changing the conversation around retirement. So just a powerhouse guests all around, and that there's so many more co-hosts. Like you said, we've got challenges. I am super excited for, Adam, what you guys have initiated there at NextGen Planners. I'm so happy to be part of this in every way, and you know how powerful I think it is to bring the global community together and all learn from each other.
And yeah, and that guest list is already awesome, isn't it? And it's going to be it's going to be one of those days that I think that anyone involved and anyone who watches will look back and think, we don't, when do we ever get the opportunity to do something like this, to get all of those amazing people and so many more together in one day, in one moment, when everybody around the world has gone through this in some way situation with the pandemic, to get everybody together just for that one day, and for that moment to celebrate something that we all do together, and that, I think, is the thing I'm most looking forward to, Kate. And it is, it's one of those things that I'm producing the show, going right the way through the 24 hours. I don't think I'll struggle to stay awake, if I'm really honest. I think it's going to be just phenomenal.
Yeah, it will be. So let's talk about, you've mentioned the charitable element a few times. So what exactly does that look like in the UK? And then let's chat about how advisors and planners around the world can participate.
Yeah, well, we love a telethon here in the UK. We have many of them, and any opportunity really to dip ourselves in a bath full of beans or something like that is always well taken. So there aren't going to be any beans in this particular one. But what we've done, there are a couple of charities that are quite close to the hearts of many of the financial planners within our community, and also some of our trade press as well. And so CF Warriors is a charity that helps young kids with cystic fibrosis really get into sport and exercise, which evidence shows it gives them much better chances in life, and also the Stroke Association. And both charities are well supported. But this time of year right now, a lot of the events that had been planned, they've had to be cancelled. And so, so many charities are struggling. And so this was just two of those charities that we thought we could help here in the UK. And so we've got some challenges going on. There'll be something going on throughout the whole of the day, the full 24 hours. But we've got some physical challenges. So there's a physical challenge relay that will go on for the 24 hours. Steve Martin's going to ride a bike for 5 hours, followed by James Mousley, who's going to tyre flip and run. I'm not sure in which proportion, for 5 hours. Jess Gear, she's going to climb our highest peak here in the UK, Ben Nevis. But of course, she can't go up Ben Nevis right now, so she's going to climb it on her stairs. Andrew Cook is going to row the English Channel from his garage. So we've got all of those great physical challenges, which will take us through the whole day. But then not everybody necessarily is up for the physical challenge, but actually there are the other types of challenges. So Gretchen Betts has been brilliant during the show. I mean, Gretchen is a fantastic financial planner here in the UK, but also she's got a passion for crafting, and Gretchen has brought a real heart and soul to the show over the last 10 weeks with her crafting segments. And she wanted to do a challenge. And so Gretchen is actually doing 24 hours of crafting, which in itself, I'd never imagined 24 hours of crafting, but she's got some really serious crafting projects in mind, in terms of she's looking to really create something that captures the moment in crafted art. And so Gretchen will be running for the full 24 hours there. And then we had a gaming focus module a few weeks back on the show, and so some of our gamers are actually doing a 24-hour Minecraft build. And this Minecraft build, we can't operate this year in a physical conference venue, so they are going to build us in Minecraft the most perfect conference venue for a NextGen Planners conference. So wow. I'm very excited to see how that looks, because you never know, on our next year's conference may be virtual again, and we might do it in there. So there's all sorts of other stuff going on as well, but they're just a few of the ones that we've got booked in. And they'll be running throughout. So during the show, we'll be going to see how people are getting on. We'll be sharing their pain and their challenges throughout, and just hearing from them in terms of how they're getting on with that, and celebrating at the end as well.
Fantastic.
In terms of other countries, because of course that's in the UK, and hopefully that will be entertaining. But we'd love to hear from anybody else in any of the other territories that we're visiting. If planners want any help promoting, doing something for charity locally, or being involved through the 24-hour Global Commute, then we'll be very, very happy to promote that and see if planners are up for making some change locally to where they are as well.
Yes, that's fantastic. And I think as we've all kind of gone through this quarantine and pandemic and being locked down, I think bringing back that sense of, helping our community. And like you said, there are lots of charities that we've seen have not been able to do their fundraisers, have had events canceled, have really been impacted negatively by this. And so looking around your local community, looking at, charities that are important to you, your family, your colleagues, your clients, and like you said, coming up with a challenge around that. And I think, here in America, we've got tons of great causes, but I think given everything that's going on in this country right now, seeing the financial services industry come together, financial planners and financial advisors taking a stand and supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. I mentioned we're going to have Lizetta Rainey Braxton sort of kicking off the U.S. portion, and she's part of the Quad A, the Association for African American Financial Advisors. Great organization to donate to. They've got a foundation. They're working on increasing diversity in financial services. There are so many great organizations in the Black Lives Matter movement. Another one might be Color of Change, which is really working to eradicate racial injustice across the board. So Adam, that's one of the things I'll be doing right after this episode, right after this recording, is starting to reach out to advisors in the US and seeing how we can come together. We've got lots of, athletes and creative people in this profession here. And I think it'd be a great way for people to come together, take a stand, and show our worldwide support, but our national support for what's going on in this country.
Yep, I think that's absolutely right, Kate. And from a UK perspective, of course, we'd be delighted to support as much as we can right the way around the world. And it's one of those things that, from our point of view, one of the key facets of what we do at NextGen Planners is to give people a voice and to give people a platform. And so this is a real opportunity globally to do that.
Yep, absolutely. So, Adam, how can people sort of sign up to be alerted? Because even though it's happening at 8:30 a.m. in every time zone, you can watch at any time. I know you're going to be up for 24 hours. You've got a lot of people in the UK that are going to be up for 24 hours. I don't promise I'll be up for 24 hours. I want to make sure I am fully alert during the hours that I'm hosting. But how can people make sure that they, find out more and are alerted when we start going live?
Well, yeah, if anybody wants to come and watch me slip into ever decreasing states of delirium over a 24-hour period, I will be on camera virtually the whole time. Not entirely the whole time, we think, but virtually the whole time. And yeah, so we're actually going to broadcast on YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel, the NextGen Planners YouTube channel, and if you just look out on social media, NextGen Planners Twitter feed, LinkedIn posts, Facebook, etc., then there'll be loads of information over the next couple of weeks in terms of when we're broadcasting, who our guests are at each slot. We are going to look to push out as much promotion as possible because we want people to come and join us. It's one of those things that. If we are broadcasting to one person in one time zone in the middle of the night, I'll be delighted. But if we're broadcasting to many people around the world and they come and chat to us and talk to us, and we'll get you on the show there and then if you're interested and you want to, because it's a very relaxed show. It's one of those things that we really do want to hear from people. And so please do look us up on YouTube, come and see us, and it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'll link to all of those in the show notes. Of course, I'll be promoting the heck out of it as well. So no excuses to not participate. And I just realized, I don't know if we've actually said the day that it's happening. So it starts at 8:30 a.m. UK time on Monday, the 22nd of June. So depending on where you're at in the world, it might go into Tuesday, the 23rd. Interestingly, I realized that actually makes it like the entire 24-hour time zone for me here in Pacific time. But yeah, depending on where you're at in the world, it's 8:30 a.m. either Monday or Tuesday.
Yes, we're doing 25 shows because, of course, we do that week, because it's our conference week. We're reigniting the morning commute, so we're having the conference commute. So we actually we're doing 25 shows, and we'll finish at the end of 8:30 on the Tuesday. So the actual telethon aspect of things, we will have our final slightly exhausted celebration. 8:30 UK time for that final 30 minutes on the Tuesday, the 23rd. But we'll post exactly what time that will be around the world as well. It took us quite a long time, Kate, and you know because you were involved in the email exchange with me, just to point out that we thought we were going the wrong way around the world at one point. So it took a little while to work out which way the world spins, and following that, we've got it sorted now. We know which way we're going, and it's going to be good.
Yes. So Adam, you've mentioned that is kicking off the NextGen conference. So knowing that you're going virtual, I would anticipate people around the world could attend that as well. So talk us through how you've kind of extended it from that in-person event to being throughout that week.
Of course, yes, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat about it, because it's one of those things. We've run a conference now every year for the last 3 years, and NextGen Planners, we do like to do things differently, but our conference for the last few years has been quite a traditional conference. We've brought in great speakers from all over the world, and they've stood up on stage 4 or 5 during the course of the day, and our conference delegates have come along and had a really great day. And that in itself is fine. There's lots of those conferences around. And last year, as we were wrapping up last year's conference in October, apart from the fact it was in October in Manchester, and it's always cold and wet in Manchester, England, in October, I thought, well, we do need to move it to the summer, of course, because we can actually get some warm weather. But one of the things that struck me is that if NextGen Planners is going to be anything, it should be something that produces a platform for younger financial planners to actually become speakers and influencers. And so that was where the idea really for what was going to be our one-day conference came about, that rather than spending the budget on venue and then bringing speakers in from around the world, we could actually spend the budget on creating a 6-month speaker and influencer program for anything up to 30 volunteers from within our community who maybe haven't had the exposure, who maybe haven't had the chance to take a topic that they really care about and investigate it, research it, build a presentation, train to deliver a presentation, be supported throughout that training, and then stand on stage and deliver it. And so that's really where this came about. The plan is to run this format of conference every year now, ongoing, and create 30 speakers and influencers in each cycle who have a real key passion about something within financial planning that they can then take out and influence future generations. And so, we're really looking through the conference to be paying it forward. And we've been careful in terms of the type of support that there is. There's mental health and well-being support in there from professionals, because ultimately speaking in public is a stressful thing. And to be fair, that right now during a pandemic has been hugely helpful, I know, to a number of the people participating, just to be focusing on a conference right now in the middle of a pandemic. But we've got Dominic Colenso, ex-Hollywood actor and presentation skills coach, who's done a fantastic job with our speakers. And Dominic did a great job at pivoting as well, because originally it was going to be a number of sessions in terms of how to deliver a conference speech on stage, and Dominic had to pivot quite quickly in terms of how to deliver a dynamic presentation through the medium of Zoom or whatever the technology might be. So there's been some change, but again, we do like our mottos at NextGen Planners, and one of them is go big or go home. And the conference pivot has given us the opportunity to go big and stay home. Broken free of the shackles of a physical building, it means we don't have to limit the number of delegates anywhere near as much as we would have done with a physical building. When we don't have the constriction of a single day in the virtual space, we can fill the space. And so we thought, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we take what would have been a single day conference and build a week around it? So we still have that central pivotal day where we've got those 30 amazing people who are going to stand on that stage now virtually, but they're going to be there in the conference and they're going to deliver that presentation that they're passionate about. But then around it, we've built CPD sessions, we've built power hour sessions, we've built opportunities for networking, for planners to connect, for everything that you would expect in a physical world conference. We've looked to build into the 5 days which are kicked off with the 24-hour Global Commute, which is just a great celebration of financial planning. So it's going to be a good week, I think. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm also slightly looking forward to the end of it now, with only 3 weeks out, because I get to have some sleep. Yeah, absolutely. But in the meantime, it's so much fun to deliver, and our community is such a great community that you couldn't miss this for the world.
Adam, that is so cool. I love that you guys are giving that opportunity to people. I mean, with all the speaking I've done, I often have people come up and, ask, how do you do that and need that training and how do you get on stages? And not only are you doing the training, but to actually be putting them on the stages, that is so, so cool. Good for you. And I know another thing that I really respect about you, Adam, is that you state everywhere that you will not be on all male panels.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, it's important. And it's not just gender diversity. Inclusion across the board is so important in our profession, because we as a profession are, at the end of the day, we're reaching out to members of the public. And if we're going to build public trust, if we're going to be a profession for everybody, we have to be a profession of everybody. We have to be reflective of everybody in society. Otherwise, what we find is that huge swathes of society can feel disenfranchised. And having access to financial advice and financial planning and just financial capability is so important. And as a profession, to build trust, we can't just be for the few. We have to be of the many and for the many. And so that at NextGen Planners is something that is non-negotiable for us. And it's interesting. I'm often challenged or asked to go to events and speak, and I see a lot of financial planning events that are put on where there'll be 6 or 7 speakers, and the majority, if not 100% across the board in some events, are all male. And when challenging the organizations that put those people forward, who are great people, who have great skills and are very experienced and knowledgeable and all of the rest of it, oftentimes the response is, well, we would have sent a female presenter, or we would have sent somebody else, but this is the person that we've got in this role, and so you asked us to provide this, but we should be asking the questions behind that. Why is it that all of the people that organizations have got to send to CPD events and professional development events are white and male? We need to challenge these things as a profession and start really thinking that what has to be representative of us as a profession on stage is what other people will see, and then hopefully inspire other people to get up there. And where better to start than at our NextGen Planners conference, is to give people a level playing field, to make them feel that they are safe and secure in getting up in that environment, that they will be incredibly supported by the audience, because they are the audience. That's the great thing about this, Kate, is that the people who are on that stage, they were in the audience last year. The people who are in the audience this year will be the people who will be up on that stage next year. And each cycle of that will support more and more of them. And then, 5-10 years from now, we'll have, we like to refer it as an army. I'm not sure if that's quite the right word, but we'll just have a cacophony of voices that share the sort of values that we believe are right for financial planning and that are inclusive.
Fantastic. So I will link to the conference website so that people can register. So what is the cost for advisors that would be attending from around the world that I assume would not be NextGen members?
Yeah, the cost for advisors is UK just under £300, I think it is, to attend. There's a discount for NextGen Planners members, and of course we welcome members from all over the world. This is what started off the idea of the Global Commute. So we're always very happy to hear from people all over the world to join the community. But if it's not about becoming a member or even joining the conference, get in touch with us anyway, because we love to talk, and our community is hugely supportive. And we get calls and emails from people all over the world on a regular basis, just to say, look, how do you do this? How would we get involved in X or Y? And our community has so much shared knowledge, and everybody is so incredibly willing to do so. We have our forum for our members, and that's gone way beyond 70,000 individual interactions and comments now on the forum. And I read almost every single one, and there's never a negative comment in there. People are massively supportive. And so, just get in touch anyway. Even if you're not coming to the conference, get in touch with us. We love to hear from people.
That's fantastic. So quickly tell us in the last minute or two here, just tell us about NextGen Planners. We've talked a lot about sort of what you're doing, but talk to us about what the essence of it is.
I'm not sure if the reference actually carries globally, but 2 disgruntled northerners in a pub were sat there one day and decided that they were fed up of going to events produced by the establishment that didn't really speak to younger financial planners. And the two guys, Rohan Sivajoti and Adam Carolan, decided that actually they should set up a community for younger financial planners. Now, it's not just about age, it's about a mindset, and it's about a learning mindset in particular. So they let older people like me in with a little less hair and a little more grey, and we now provide a structure from classroom to boardroom. So we go into universities and colleges, and we look to support people engaging with potential employers. We provide training, technical skills, soft skills, all of the things that you would there. We move that into leadership programs. We have our speaker and influencer program, which is free to our members to volunteer and go through. And in particular, we have this amazing community. And it's a community that is the strength within NextGen Planners. It's the thing that actually brings everybody together in just that shared resource and experience. So it's been a joy for me in the latter half of my career to get involved with people who've got a really open and positive and optimistic mindset about the profession.
That's fantastic. Adam, I know we could cover so much more, but we'll wrap up for now because we're going to be spending a lot of time together coming up on that global commute, and hopefully you'll get some sleep in between now and then so you're nice and refreshed. Adam, thank you so much for everything you're doing at NextGen Planners. I know you're also president of the Personal Finance Society. Thanks for your work on the global commute and helping to bring the global community together and that charitable element. That's so important now and always.
And Kate, thank you for all your help. This really wouldn't be possible without your input. So, it's been amazing. And yeah, we're going to have a great time in a couple of weeks on the Global Commute. So look forward to seeing you then.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Innovating Advice Show. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn and shoot me a thought or two. Link to my profile is right below. Stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to hearing from you.